before 5th of August, there were at least 10 days which were horrible. I mean, the foreboding, anxiety, trauma, that was, 10 times, tenfold increase during that time. People were, just as it was a doomsday and people were going here and there, not knowing what is going to happen, what they are going to do. They were really, I mean, if you can imagine the scene of Judgment Day, when they say people will be, thrown here and there and nobody will know what the other person is doing. That was the kind of confusion which was created. In fact, what happened before abrogation and what happened after is something which is inexpressible, unnarratable, unspeakable. I don't have the appropriate words to put across, to articulate exactly how it felt like. Because whatever I'm saying, I'm not myself satisfied with what I'm saying. People were so much confused and so much disturbed. They thought anything can happen anytime because there are all kinds of rumors doing rounds. One rumor was that India is going to attack Pakistan, and that is why they had got huge contingents of plus armed forces, and they placed them everywhere in lanes, by lanes, streets, roads, wherever, in fields. So that created terrible havoc. And there were rumors that they are going to remove Article 35, and some were saying 35A, or some were saying 370. But our hunch was that they cannot even touch it because this is the only slender link which connects Kashmir with India. And then the question of this abrogation does not arise. They are doing all this for politics, but they cannot really do it. We never thought the impossible will happen, in spite of the fact that majority of the Kashmiris have always been questioning 370, in the sense it was not done with the popular will. It was actually a constitutional reflection of the document of accession, which was signed by Maharaja. But even Maharaja at that time had said, it was, Governor General had said that this is subject to the popular endorsement. It cannot be final till that time. In case of any dispute, the final arbiters are the people of Kashmir. And therefore, even through some kind of, cheating and treachery, they brought this 370 into Indian constitution, telling the leaders at that time that we have to explain administrative relationship in the constitution through some articles, so that otherwise how can we explain this? So at that time they told them, okay, you can reflect those terms in which are in the accession document of accession. You can reflect those things, nothing more, nothing less. But at that time, being the mischievous mind who had the eye that for grab, for loot, for exploitation, they included clause 1 in Article 370, which gave president the authority to introduce any other law in Kashmir or impose any other law, Indian law, other than these three things, other than communications, foreign affairs, and defense, through the promulgation of presidential order, but with the consent of Constituent Assembly. The Constituent Assembly was dead after half of 50s. And therefore, there was no question of making any change. But arbitrarily, they said now that there is no Constituent Assembly, now the Assembly, the cabinet, is the alternate authority. And there has always been a puppet government, and puppet government should easily give them consent to do anything. And that's why how 370 was already hollowed down. And once they removed 370, there wasn't much in it. It was all for snapping it is the source of 335A. Because what remained now in Kashmir was only that we had exclusive rights over our jobs, and that we had a right not to give our land to anyone. Now, this right was not something which was discriminatory, or this was, even international law provides exclusive domicile rights to those people who feel threatened by other communities. So ethnic protection is given even by international law, which says any community which might feel threatened by other communities, they have a right to preserve their land and not share it with anyone else. They have legitimate right to deny the possession of their land or the selling of their land to anyone else. At that time, when the king Maharaja had actually introduced it, It was because of the agitation which Pandits had carried out. And Pandits wanted jobs only for themselves because Kashmiri Muslim was a backward, he was not educated, and therefore jobs were grabbed only by Pandits. When Punjabis came here, they feared that we will lose jobs. Then they actually ran an agitation. As a result of that agitation, Maharaja had to curtail jobs for outsiders from Kashmir, those who came from Punjab or other places. But then he also became aware these people can come also take our land away. Therefore, he brought additional, clause that land cannot be given to non-Kashmiris. That's why he kept state subject. So it was not an Islamophobic law. It was not someone which Muslims had got. It was with the agitation of Pandits and with the, approval of the king, who was a Hindu, who had kept this ethnic protection for us. And it had nothing to do with Muslims anymore. The whole propaganda of BJP was that it has no source of this and that, it has been superimposed, has been interpolated. That is not true. There have been parliamentary discussions, debates, and because of 370, they could not bring any law through parliament. It had to come through presidential announcement, presidential promulgation. That's why it was all legitimate. But they created all that obfuscating narrative, obfuscating discourse that it is superimposed on a constitution and therefore it has no legality. It has not come to parliament. After India has no jurisdiction over us, how could they make laws for us? And the same argument today is applied. Parliament of India has no right to abrogate anything. It is completely grab. It is complete aggression. It is legal aggression. It is legal grab. Because you give it the name of law, but it is actually mother of all illegalities. Once you are unilaterally removing something which has been an agreement between two sovereigns, because king at that time was a sovereign power, and it was with mutual agreement that he had ceded some of the powers to India because he wanted forge, he wanted army to bring in to fight Kashmiri, to fight Pakistani so-called raiders at that time. But at that time, they said, we cannot send forces into your territory because you are not part of us. And in order to, because it will be a foreign force into your land. Now, in order to send it there, first of all, you have to make an agreement with us. That is why defense is there. That's why communication is there. That's why foreign, because all these three were connected with providing defense support at that time. That's why these three things. So I'm coming back. Terrible atmosphere was created at that time. There was terrible foreboding. And I wrote on Twitter, if India is going to remove either 35A or they are going to touch 370, they will be digging their grave in Kashmir. By this, they have opened floodgates of insecurity and vulnerability for themselves. Only if Indian awakes and understands what this government has done, they will actually throw them out tomorrow, if they understand. But because their obfuscating propaganda is on and on, they don't let anyone else to understand what the reality is. It is few people who understand, but their voice is not heard by anyone. Even in India, the intellectual is terribly suppressed. He is not able to speak. He is not able to be heard. Because when fascism is so rampant, it doesn't have place for anyone, for any thought, for any intellectual, exercise. Fascism is control, and control, it is the draconian control of the old times. So coming back to what happened on 4th, people were now trying to, all kinds of leaks were given at that time. Leaks which were actually denied by officials. Governor and his advisors denied those leaks. So where are you? You are totally confused. You don't know what happened. And once communication lines were snapped, we thought it is war. But in the morning, we don't know anything because cable network had also been snapped. Everything has been snapped. TV channels, vagara, all lines of communication have been snapped. So we are at a loss. We don't know what. Now, what happened? It seemed as if all of us have been put in Noah's Ark, or Safina and Nuh. But when Noah and his family was put in that Safina, it was to save them. But we were put here to put us in a process of dying. And we are in that process still. We are dying slowly. And we are still afloat on that ark, hurtling here and there, not coming to a standstill. They're still on that. Because later on, after months, when they established some communication links, but those were again unilateral. Unilateral in the sense, we can receive messages, we can hear news, but we are not supposed to say anything. Second thing was, from 5th all planes and drones were hovering over our heads. People could not even dare to come out in the lawns because they thought, I mean, I was thinking that this drone is going to attack me. It is specially watching me. So everyone felt that I am being surveilled. Surveillance is over me. So once life is movement, once movement is taken away from you, what life remains? Our loss is 30,000 crores in economy in all these sectors. Today it is 40,000 because this double pandemic. Now this COVID has also been used to strengthen that siege, to consolidate control, to bring in domicile law, which they could have never brought out because there are stringent laws, you can't come out. So this COVID has come as a godsend, facilitator for them, that they were able to do all those things during these months which they had not been able to do in the previous months. That is why you have a series of orders in which Kashmiri people have been completely disempowered. In fascism, there is no principle, there is no law, whatever they like. And BJP regime is a post-truth regime. Truth has been murdered. Today, I think, after some time, if conditions remain what they are today, Kashmiris will die at their own death, not only psychologically, but physically, because they will not get anything. And all the jobs, all the positions of power in Kashmir, they have already been Hinduized. Not only is it that they will give domicile certificates to non-Kashmiris and settle them here, but they will use domicile certificate also as NRC. Usme every one of us has to go and find a certificate. And it is their sweet will whether they will give you or not. This is the terrible thing which is happening, because I told you COVID is another pandemic which they have used to facilitate the operation which was already in motion, but they intensified that operation, that fascist operation, that Hinduizing operation, that falsifying operation, that obfuscating operation, that has now been intensified. These enclaves you are going to make to balkanize Kashmiris and reduce Kashmiri Muslim to a subservient level, who will always be serving them as they used to do in Dogra rule. Because they want to bring in the entire Dogra rule. They want to transplant that entire Dogra rule into Kashmir now. It is to Hinduize Kashmir. It is to reduce the local population to a minuscule minority. Keep their settlements everywhere so that whenever anybody comes here, they will have to search for a Muslim. It will be so much flooded with Hindus. There was another plan they had made. They had identified 11 places for pilgrimage, so that throughout round the clock, there will be pilgrimages in Kashmir, so that Kashmiris will totally be already overwhelmed by the numbers that they will lose their face. That whenever anyone comes to Kashmir, they will have to search for a Muslim. They want to Hinduize the entire state in a sense that if there are some Kashmiris left who submit totally, because every day new laws come. Abhi pichle dinu another law came, Home Ministry had made a list of 45 officials who could now attach properties, confiscate everything of those who are supposed to be sympathizers of insurgents. On the mere suspicion, ye bhi likha, or suspected to be. Now, who will determine the veracity of a suspicion? So it means the entire population is at risk now. So they will remove us one by one under these terrible, draconian is a milder term to say. It's a draconian law. It's a milder term. Dictionary has to devise new words for the enormity of what they are going to do. They have already removed all hurdles from army's path. They say they don't need any permission now. They can now choose any spot of land and take it. They don't need anyone's permission. And they can make their houses, they can make residential, area, any area they like. They lay their hands on. Now, if you remember that army in Kashmir has already laid its hands on so many plots of land, which runs into thousands, whether these are orchards, whether these are fields, whether it is forest land, but we always thought they will go back and we'll get the land back. Now they have been made permanent owners of that land. Not only the land they are occupying right now, Now they have been given recent order, says that army doesn't need any permission to acquire land. They can now directly go and take the land and make any use they like. Earlier on, Sheikh Abdullah had given them the permission to get land through government for certain central offices. But now that restriction is not there. They have removed everything. They have removed everything. They have opened Kashmir. They have opened the floodgates. Anyone can come now, and there is no need of any permission to get the land or to grab it. They can do anything now. They don't need to be conscious of contradictions in their own statements because they can get away with anything. On the one hand, they say now we can go and marry Kashmiri women. But what a terrible thing is it is. And on the other hand, they said removal of Article 35A will bring women at par. This is all sheer nonsense. In the sense, full bench of High Court in 2002, 7th October, passed a landmark judgment removing that proviso from 35A, which said that women will lose residency status if she marries outsider. You understand? Because there was State versus Sushila Sohani and others. So that in Sushila Sohani case, full bench High Court with a majority view actually said a daughter who belongs to a person who is a permanent resident of Kashmir will not lose residency status if she marries an outsider. This was settled. Now after that, PDP Congress government filed a writ petition against it in Supreme Court, but then quietly withdrew the petition. After that, Muzaffar Beg, who was the finance minister, law minister those days in that PDP Congress government, he brought in permanent residence disqualification bill in assembly. In assembly, lower house, it was passed by 2/3 majority. But once it went to the council, Government of India played all its cards, and the chairman at that time was Abdul Rashid Dar of Legislative Council. He allowed the discussion, but the moment the vote was to be taken, he adjourned the house sine die. And thereby the bill lapsed and it was never reintroduced. With the result that the High Court judgment is valid till today. It has not been challenged. You understand? It was basically for the larger ethnic protection so that we are not overwhelmed by numbers from outsiders, which the removal of 35A is doing now. That is why all these discourses about women being discriminated, women, this is nonsense, sheer nonsense and obfuscating. And then you talk of trauma. Women and children have suffered more. The biggest jolt which we got is the younger generation. And younger generation, this is the age when they can move around, when they can play, when they can go to school, to college, learn, enjoy each other, interact with each other. Their social development, psychological development, physical development takes place at this time. And they have been caged inside homes. You can imagine how much violence has increased of children in the firms, that they don't listen to anyone now. They have become, because their energy is pent up, their feelings are pent up. They are not able to get an outlet. You can, once you come to Kashmir, you will weep. You'll see what has happened to us. Even if you are a foreigner, if you understand what has happened to Kashmir society today, you will weep, you will wail, you will cry. You will cry to the world, what have you done to these people? In the name of political power, in the name of this bloody dark fantasy. I call it dark fantasy, dark vision of Hindutva, dark vision of RSS. What it has done to it has killed Kashmir. We are dying. Our young generation is dying. They get no outlet to get, catharsis. Kashmir is not really stranger to lockdowns. We have seen lockdowns before. But those lockdowns were in order to bring some semblance of order when militancy erupted in Kashmir. But this lockdown is to deny you your existence, to take the plank from under your feet, to deny you your identity, to kill you totally, physically as well as psychologically. what will be that statehood when everything has been taken away? What will they give you back if they have already taken? And today also, when they talk of restoring statehood, every day they are disempowering you further and further. More and more laws are brought in to take everything away. What will they give back in statehood? I don't know. I have yet to understand. This is intriguing. Given the kind of mindset of BJP, if it remains in this status, if the one devil does not die today, you understand, we don't know what's going to happen. So I don't think they are going to return us anything. I don't know what that statehood is, except unless Umar Abdullah or anyone else spells out what the statehood should mean. If it means restoration of 35A, I said, even if they don't talk about 370, let them talk about 35A, because that is the main. What we had in possession was only 35A. Not that they were not inroads made in that. They had already made lots of inroads. Lakhs of certificates had already been issued to non-state subjects. That was there. But still, legally, we were in a better position. In 370, there wasn't much. There were one or two things only. Unless they make it very clear to the people that we domicile law totally unacceptable, removal of 35A totally unacceptable, removal of 370 totally unacceptable, because today is a situation in the world where they can ultimately be heard. I mean, it is their politics. Common Kashmiri, majority of Kashmiris want liberation from India. We know that. But these collaborators, come say, can ask for that. Then I can say there is some statehood. Otherwise, these are empty noises signifying nothing. It doesn't signify anything. It simply means getting a job from Government of India. I think the world order is changing slowly. And that world order change will bring about, inshallah, with God's grace, will bring about a change. Fascism has it has a very limited shelf life. How long it can go on? It will prey upon itself. It is already preying upon itself. As you see in India, what's happening today. In spite of that is the total despair today, but out of despair only some, Yeats says, the terrible beauty is born out of destruction. Out of destruction, terrible beauty will be born, inshallah. We are not hopeless in that sense, but when I say what they did, what the present is like, but future nobody knows. But since the world order is changing, that world order will bring a new dawn to Kashmir, inshallah.